welcome to UK Versus. Today we're talking solo leveling yet again. I told you, the hype for this IP cannot be contained, will not be contained, and yes, here's the obligatory Night Slayer reference. Look at it, it's beautiful. So, the Sung Jin Woo character was revealed. Some jammy git found it on the website and uploaded a video of it like immediately, and people are mixed about it because the character has very little information about what they actually do, which is very strange for a character. Usually we know a bit about what the cards actually do within a challenger because we can infer from the cards. So when we look at things like Spike, we know he's going to be primarily flip based because of his abilities. When we look at things like Critical Role, we know that they're going to be quite momentum based because of Jester. We know they're going to be quite weapon or range based on Vex and Vax. And with Godzilla, we knew that we were going to be getting some high damage utility around 5 diff attacks and some very cool attacks for Mothra. For Sung Jin Woo, we have just been told we're getting a skill card and that we can start with the Assassin skill tree in play. Bit limiting, but that lets me know that other skill trees are either going to be coming, because why would you have Assassin skill tree and not just his skill tree? Or to me, it's limiting because it isn't just start with a skill tree in play or Sung Jin Woo skill tree. It's Assassin. It's very locked to him. It's a static ability. No matter what, it starts in play, and the response is at the end of your turn, discard a card, go up a level. Seems cool. Seems very powerful. But let's rewind a little bit and let's look at this from a lore perspective before we talk about the character and where I theorize these abilities are going. So, as mentioned in the previous video, which has come out hopefully by this point, I'm still umming and ahhing about actually putting it out thanks to the reveal. The World of Soul Leveling has lots of different people, lots of different abilities when they awaken to take on dungeons. The Assassin one is a primarily offensive build. You are looking at high speed, high damage, concealment. You're not looking at a lot of defense with it, which is very interesting and one thing to remember. You're looking at skills like dash, concealment. They use a lot of dagger-based attacks, and they're very good at poison and burn. We might see some effects that deal additional damage on hit because of the poison and venom and other things that happen, or we could see some more burn effects. The other thing to remember is, in this world, Sung Jin Woo is playing his game very differently than every other hunter in this verse is doing their job. So they're all locked into one build. They're all locked into acquiring certain skills based on what they've awakened as. Sung Jin Woo is the only player in the system that I'm aware of at this time, anime only, and he levels up through getting experience, which is what we get to do. But how he gets that experience varies. He gets them from completing his dailies, which I believe at the start is 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10k run. So he's on the Saitama workout, but if he doesn't do that, he gets punished, and I'll come to that punishment a little bit later on, because I think this is a very cool opportunity we might see get used. But let's move on back. As he goes through his day-to-day, he will be given loot crates, he'll be given XP, he has miscellaneous tasks to complete, but the system will also update him about sudden tasks. So if he goes into a dungeon, he will have to clear the dungeon and he gets XP for killing them, but he'll be given side quests. He'll be given little quests that go through there. He has access to additional gates. I've gone forward in my other video, please go do check it out. But what I'm looking at here is the Assassin skill tree. And as we acquire abilities the way Sung Jin Woo acquires them, this is very, very interesting, and I think XP cards are going to have little side quests or little abilities on them that when we trigger them, we also get to level up. So we're going to be able to level up multiply. Why have it as a response that you get to level up once per turn? Why not let us just level up our character? Because we already get to that with XP cards. Basically, the response is if we cannot or don't want to use that XP card, we can disregard that quest and level up anyway. The fact that it says XP cards from your stage or hand lets us know that these are going to be backups, assets, or foundations, because actions and attacks don't generally go into your stage outside of special abilities, which they could get. But I don't think the XP cards are going to be an asset. I think the asset is going to be the Night Slayer. It's on his card art. It's a very iconic weapon from the show. It's just his go-to weapon. I think that's going to be the asset. That is the selling point, and that will bring in collectors alone. And I really want to see how the alt art for that's going to go. The action initially, I always said, was going to be Arise, but we're not following the Necromancy skill tree. We're following Assassin skill tree, which to me says that we're probably going to see something along the lines of Mutilate or Ruler's Authority, which essentially will bolster our attacks through Mutilate, allowing us to deal additional damage, or could even give them Echo, or could give them some replayability as we get to spawn additional daggers, or hit a lot harder, so like every spawned on damage, do more damage. Or we could get Ruler's Authority, which would be offensive or defensive spell, which increases the speed of our attack and decreases the speed of our opponent's attacks. It could be Bloodlust. Bloodlust basically allows Sung Jin-woo to sense attacks. The more his opponent wants to kill him, the more he can sense the attack. Doesn't matter if they're concealed, doesn't matter if they're hidden, doesn't matter if they lock their entire presence away. He can sense them through their bloodlust. And unlike other shows that say, I can sense your bloodlust, this is a legitimate ability he unlocks. But to me, I think it's going to be Mutilate, and I think we'll see Ruler's Authority as an attack or possibly a foundation, and then we'll see Bloodlust as one of his skills. So I think skills are going to be an evolution on what we're seeing with Mount Lady 2 and Krista. With Mount Lady 2 and Krista, you get counters for fulfilling a task. Surprisingly, in both cases, it's discarding cards. If you review with Mount Lady, you get counters for Mount Lady, and if you discard a card with Krista, you get wall counters for Krista. I think that is how this is going to work. We fulfill a task, we get rewarded with XP, and then the more XP we have, the more abilities we unlock, with the ultimate ability of our XP that we're going to gain is going to be Stealth. It's going to make our attack very hard to interact with. It's going to make it so it's unblockable, that they can't be reduced by its damage. It's going to be some overpowered ability, because Stealth is the strongest ability that an assassin can receive within solo leveling, and Sung Jin-woo does have access to it. You can just completely conceal yourself and go in with the attacks, and it's only thanks to Bloodlust that Sung Jin-woo is able to detect these attacks. So I think only through things like Eden Box or through Sung Jin-woo themselves, because I think Bloodlust is going to be our ultimate defensive ability, that you are going to be able to stop these cards. I really think it's going to be something like unblockable, or damage can't be reduced, or your opponent doesn't get to enhance during this attack. That's going to have some kind of cost, but it's also going to be the highest level. And that is kind of like the evolution of the Mount Lady Krista sort of situation, where we're looking at a character that comes in there. I know people have been saying they want this for Critical Role. I know people have been saying that they want this for other things, and we did talk about this during our Top 10 Foundation stream, where Richard was basically saying, why would they create the system and limit it to one card? And it hit me in that moment, because that's the show. Solo leveling. He is the only character in his show that gets to level up. He is solo leveling. He is the only character in the system. He's the only character that plays the dungeons that gets to use it like it's a game, and gets access to skill trees, gets access to loot boxes. And I think that is what we're going to see here. We're going to see the ultimate translation of solo leveling, in that the design team are going to create a whole new mechanic, a whole new card, a whole new system for Sung Jin-woo to play that never gets replicated outside of more Sung Jin-woo cards, because that's the ultimate translation. That is the ultimate way you can represent this IP in this game. You go, here's Sung Jin-woo. He is a character like every other one, but he is part of the system that was created by the rulers. I love this. I love the idea of Tim Free and Bill Stark and all the other creators like Jeremy being a stand-in for the rulers of solo leveling and creating the system and creating Sung Jin-woo, because then I'm going to play him and I'm going to specifically build a deck for Sung Jin-woo designed to take on their characters, because I know you've got them. Tim Free has one. I'm sure Jeremy has one. I'm sure Bill Stark is close to getting one. I want to take my Sung Jin-woo and I want to kill the rulers with Sung Jin-woo. This is the ultimate way you can adapt solo leveling into our game, is to basically go, So we are the gods of this world. We create all your verses, and we are going to create a brand new system for Sung Jin Woo, because that's what they did in the IP. He has his own system that he has an entirely new thing just for him, while everyone else is having to play a different way, and that is so good, that is so on point, and I cannot unsee that. And if that is intentional, I need to know if stuff like this is intentional. If this is intentional, it is a masterpiece. I love the lore and IP translation if this was intentional. As for the rest of the deck, I do think the attacks are going to be more weapon based. I did bring up spells when I was talking about it with the critical role interactions. The assassin skill tree has some spells, but primarily it's a weapon based build. So it's going to be Night Slayer attacks, it's going to be Basilisk Venom attacks, it's going to be multiple slashes or hidden strike and things like that. It's going to be high speed, low damage attacks that have some kind of ongoing effect, or low speed, high damage attacks that have become a little bit harder to block. And then we're going to see our XP cards primarily being foundations, and then maybe we see a couple of attacks that we get some interaction when they're discarded with. But we won't see Shadow Extraction, we won't see Arise, we won't see any of these OP abilities that make him the most unbeatable character in his verse. Primarily because trying to balance that on a challenger is a tall ask. And I think the design team need more time to cook, and I'm more than welcome for it. If we get the critical role treatment of Challenger this year, well, Challenger next year, set the year after that, if we get a solo leveling set where we see Char, we see Baru, we see Ingress, we get to see all these other hunters, and we get to see how they come in, because by that point we may be at the Jeju Island arc, which would be the greatest part of the set if we just get seasons 1, 2, and hopefully that by that point 3 in a set. Even if we just get season 1 and season 2, we get the Demon arc, which has been started through the Red Gate. Yeah, this is just going to be great. We can get the King of Demons, we can get the Cerberus Dog, we can just pop off as a set, and that's where we will see Arise and Shadow Extraction, and that's where I think the design team needs more time to cook and level it out, because if we saw Arise and Shadow Extraction and a Necromancer Jin as a challenger, it would either have to be underpowered to balance the challenger out and not make it ridiculously expensive and basically just completely break standard as is, or it would have to be very overpowered and then get banned. And what I think we have here is a great collector's product. We have a great product for people who are fans of the IP. We have a very thematic product. And I think we have a product that does have the potential to see play in competitive depending on the kit. Either way, this is a very cool product, and I expect it to sell out faster than Attack on Titan. I expect it to fly out the door. And if the alt arts are done correctly, I just think this is going to pop off. I think this is a very wise decision by design to introduce us to Sung Jin Woo as the E rank hunter. As much as I was disappointed we won't see an S rank or Shadow Monarch, I think this is a great introduction to the IP. I already know 3 people that have gone and watched the show based on my recommendations and on the IP coming into the show, and more people will do that as we see the cards. And yeah, I think this is a great product. I think this is a great get for the game. I will continue to talk about it. I will continue to not shut up about it until these videos don't do well. But my theory is this is our asset. Mutilation is our action. The IP tree will end with us having a stealth ability for offense that makes our attacks really hard, if not impossible, to interact with. And Bloodlust as our defensive ability, which allows us to essentially do the opposite. Interact with our opponent's attack so much that even the most unblockable attack becomes blockable, because the more damage it gets, the more damage it's going to do, the more bloodlust our opponent puts into this attack, easier it'll become for us to block. That is the way I see that ability going down. Might be a little bit overpowered, and I've just said how good it is that they've made this balanced, but I trust the design team. But I'm going to leave it there. How are you finding Soul Leveling? How did you find this character? It looks amazing. Big shout out to Zoe Hitch and the team. The gate, that sort of symbol behind him, the way that he looks, the fact that he's got the Night Slayer in there. The card looks peak, and I cannot wait to see the alt arts. because every single card in the deck is going to be alt-added. I am just so hyped to actually get my hands on this product. So I cannot. If this was an intentional decision to make him play this game differently than any other character and someone from UVS, I just want to know if it was intentional. Because if it was, chef's kiss. That's genius. I'll catch you all in the next one, and let me know how you're feeling about solo leveling. Bye!